Hello, welcome back. Right then, I'm just going to take this off gently. Now, I've said it before, when you're taking masking tape off like this, carefully and slowly pull it away from the painting area. If you feel it sticking at any point, just stop, put on a hairdryer behind the tape, and what it does, it melts all of the gungy bits, and then you should be able to pull it off fairly easily. But this is fine. That will happen normally if you're leaning on it as well, so that is why we try and keep most of it just flapped off there. So, okay. Right, so that's that removed. I've got a few little things here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a flat brush and I'm just going to gently sort of go along just with a damp brush, and that should make them disappear back into there we go. So that should be fine. Okay. Now then, we should have done this really at the beginning, but I'm going to show it you now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put some masking fluid. So an old brush, old round brush that you don't use, because masking fluid is like a latex and it will destroy your brush. If you put it in water and then just rub it onto a clear bar of soap like that, that gives it a little bit of protection, and then put it into the masking fluid. So what we're doing here, just on the inside of the bottom of the earth mounds, I'm just going to put in a layer of masking fluid there. Okay. And then across this bottom piece here as well. Okay, just to protect, so that when we put in the water. Okay, there we go. Okay. And then what I want to do is, because the brush is using a very thin brush, what I'm going to do here, where these rocks are going to be, I'm just going to put a few little like tufts of grass that would look like tufts of grass with masking fluid. Because these rocks are going to be quite dark, you're going to need, and the tufts of grass we want them to be fairly light. Let me get another brush, a little bit thinner. Okay, put in the masking fluid. Gently, just pull up a few little tufts of blades of grass where you think they might be in the rocks. Okay, so there can be anywhere. You don't want hundreds of them, but just get the masking fluid. Okay, I'm just thinly put in a few little blades like this. Okay, and then you could even on the earth mounds, if you think you're going to put a bit of grass somewhere, you could always put a little bit here, or even some little rocks coming down to the water's edge if you wanted. Okay, they'd be looking a little bit in perspective. They'd be a lot thinner and smaller than what they would be on this one, because there's no coming forward. Right, that's it. So we're going to let them dry. They don't take long, but that's your masking fluid. So that's going to protect the paper and leave it white. So, right, let's have a look at what we're going to mix up now. We're going to need to mix up, we're going to be doing these two earth mounds, the basics of them to start with. So, let's have a look. So, basically to start with, I want let's have a look, use this palette here. I'm going to mix up a well of watery raw sienna, okay, which you can see there. And then I'm just going to add into it a little touch of, just to take it back a little bit so it's not quite so yellowy. I'm just going to add in a little bit of the burnt sienna. Oops. So that gives it that little bit of a sandy colour. I'm going to be quite watery. Okay. The next puddle I'm going to mix up is going to be some burnt sienna on its own. Okay. Again, quite watery. So it's a nice, I love this colour, it's a nice autumny colour. Then we need to make up some mud colour, so around the edges of the water we're going to get a little bit of this brown here, and then we're going to get a darker brown, which is going to be made up of French ultramarine, which is a darker blue than the cobalt. Okay, and this was going to be a bit thicker mixed, because we don't want it to spread as far. Okay, and then into there some burnt sienna. And that makes a more natural dark brown to black, almost black colour. Okay, it's better than using a natural black or anything like that. It makes it into a nice, the more burnt sienna you add, the brownier it is, but we'll get that nice thicker mix there. Okay, clean this brush. So I've got the wells mixed up ready for the earth mounds. Okay. Give that brush a good clean. Stand it in there. Okay, right. Now while I'm here, I'm just going to remix up a little bit more of these sky colours so that I'm ready for the next section. So again, Naples yellow and some light red to get this lighter colour that we've got in the sky. So it's going to be reflected in the water. Okay, so that's mixed up. Then I'm going to mix in some cobalt blue. So put some more cobalt blue there. Now next to that I'm going to mix another well, but I'm going to put in it a little bit of a weak cobalt blue, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of phthalo blue in there, so it turns it into a more Mediterranean looking bluey, a brighter blue. Okay, and just a little touch of let's have a look, let's put a little bit of the raw sienna in there, so it turns it into a greeny blue, not quite a turquoise but a greeny blue. Okay, there we go. Clear that brush. So now we can be ready. So I'm going to use a size 12 round brush, and we're going to now paint in these sections of the earth mound. So this one's going to be slightly darker at the front, that one wants to be lighter, so I'm going to use a brush to wet this. I'm just going to wet it gently down to the masking fluid. Okay, up there, back up there, round, down here to the front one. Okay, I don't want great big puddles, we just want it to be nice and wet, but not puddles or too dry. So if you look at the side again, you should have a nice little sheen on it there. Okay, probably won't see it in the light with the camera, but if you've got too much water somewhere, just clean your brush out, take the excess water out, just go back over it, and it'll soak up any big puddles that you've got there. So the first colour into this palette now is I'm going to pick up some of the raw sienna that we mixed with a little bit of the burnt sienna, and I'm just going to lay that in. So this process we're going to be actually putting the colour in and dropping all the colours in and letting them blend together. So the darker colours are going to be, the colour wants to be stronger towards the bottom of the earth mounds there, and then as we come up the top, a bit darker there. Now this one coming forward here, I'm just going to drop in some of where we put the burnt sienna on its own. So drop some of that in there and drop it along the water's edge bit and along the water's edge on the first one as well. Okay, So we've got some colour in there. And then what I'm going to do is we've got this darker colour. So now I'm going to go to a small brush again. So this time I'm going to use a number 4. Okay. Before I do that, I'm just going to go gently across there with this thirsty brush again. It's a dry brush. It's just soaking up any excess that we've got that's coming down because the board is on an angle. Okay. That brush out of the water. So, using this smaller brush and picking up the darkest colour now, what I'm going to attempt to do now is I'm just going to drop, and if you see I'm just dropping it using the tip of the brush. Some of it I'm going to pull up a little bit. So drop it in around this water's edge. Okay. Because this paint's mixed a little bit thicker, you can see it's not spreading so far, but when it does spread up, it's softening up a little bit more. So it's a little bit like when you get to a water's edge and you see all the mud and everything that's wet, how it just sort of gently goes up. Okay, some around there, like that. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this burnt sienna on its own, but in a thicker, sort of more or less direct out there. I'm just going to drop some little bits of that in as well, among where the muddy bits are, just to give it a little bit of tonal and texture in there. So it's going to be a slightly brighter colour just at the tops in there, just so again so it's blending in but not too far. Okay, so dry the brush off, and then what I'm going to do is with this thicker mix again, just take some of it out, take the excess off onto a piece of tissue, kitchen roll. Okay, and then I'm just going to swizzle a few bits up this way. Where are we? Okay, just to make sure we've got bits of the mud, because some of the mud will come further up. And when I've put these bits of dark colour, just to add bits of texture going up the hills. Bits of earth there. Okay. And we'll add more detail to that later on. It just gives it that little bit of an effect. And dry your brush off, spread it out, and then just pull little pieces up like that, so it just feathers up. Pulling it back up the hill there, so it looks like the mud is spreading upwards. Okay. And then we'll leave that section to dry. Then once that section's dry, the next section is we're going to go back to these sky colours, and we're going to put in the biggest part of the water, the form of water, and actually put in the reflections. And then the last phase is going to be this rock area and some detail on here, and then we will be done. But the next stage is where we're going to be doing the actual reflections in the water. Okay, so we're going to be using some of these colours that we've got here. So we're going to use the darker colours, but we're also using the sky colours and this little bit of watercolour that we mixed up, the cobalt and phthalo blue, to put in the body, the form of water. Okay, so just got to let that dry first, and then we can move on. Okay, so I'll see you in a little while.